The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council chamber glittered with the light of 1,000 stars. Inside, hundreds of alien representatives from across the known universe gathered for their monthly meeting. High Commander James of Earth sat quietly in his designated seat, far in the back where the lesser species were placed. And now, announced Supreme Leader Mark of the Aldarian Empire, his blue-tinted skin reflecting the chamber's lights, we shall review the latest attempts at dimensional travel by various civilizations. His voice carried a hint of amusement as he gestured toward the holographic display in the center of the chamber. The display showed various spacecraft designs from different worlds. When Earth's latest prototype appeared, laughter erupted throughout the chamber. The ship looked plain and simple compared to the elegant vessels of other species. As we can see, Mark continued, barely containing his own laughter. Our human friends continue their amusing attempts at breaking through dimensional barriers. Their latest design still relies on primitive fusion technology. More laughter filled the chamber. James clenched his fists but maintained his diplomatic smile. If only they knew what was happening in the secret facilities beneath Earth's Pacific Ocean. Meanwhile, 12 kilometers under the Pacific, in a facility known only as Deep Point Alpha, a team of Earth's finest scientists worked tirelessly. They had discovered something that would change everything. A way to access the seventh dimension. The power readings are stable, said Dr. Robert, checking the complex array of instruments before him. The elderly scientist had spent 30 years of his life working on Project Infinity. His gray hair and wrinkled face showed the toll of those decades, but his eyes sparkled with the energy of a young man. "Are you sure they can't detect our tests?" asked General David, watching the experimental chamber where swirls of strange energy danced around a small probe. "Positive," Robert replied. "We're masking everything with background radiation." To their instruments, this facility looks like a normal geothermal power plant. The general nodded, his military uniform crisp despite the facility's humidity. "Good, let them keep laughing. They think we're still playing with fusion drives while we're about to change the rules of space travel forever." Back in the council chamber, the meeting continued. Different alien species presented their achievements in 4D and 5D travel. The Aldarians proudly displayed their latest 5D cruiser, capable of crossing the galaxy in just 2 weeks. "Now this," Mark declared, "is what real dimensional engineering looks like. Perhaps our Earth friends should take notes." More laughter followed. James took notes indeed, but not the kind they expected. He carefully recorded which civilizations showed the most arrogance, which ones laughed the loudest. Earth would remember its friends, and those who chose to mock them. In Deep Point Alpha, Robert's team achieved another breakthrough. The probe successfully maintained stability in 6 dimensions simultaneously, something their alien counterparts had deemed impossible for primitive humans. "Look at these readings," Robert pointed to a screen filled with complex equations. "We're not just breaking through dimensions, we're weaving them together. No one has even thought of trying this approach." The probe glowed with an inner light that seemed to bend reality around it. Small objects near it appeared to exist in multiple places at once, a clear sign of dimensional manipulation. "How long until we can scale this up to a full-sized ship?" General David asked, his eyes fixed on the miraculous display before them. 3 months, Robert answered confidently. "We've solved the main problems. Now it's just a matter of building the transcendent according to our new specifications." The general smiled. "Perfect. Let them keep underestimating us. Let them think we're still struggling with basic space travel." As James left the council chamber that day, he heard snippets of conversations around him. Alien representatives continued to joke about Earth's primitive technology and humanity's cute attempts to join the galactic community as equals. He sent a coded message to Deep Point Alpha. "Council meeting concluded. Proceed as planned. They suspect nothing." The response came quickly, Project Infinity reaching final stages. Transcendence construction ahead of schedule. The 7th dimension awaits. James allowed himself a small smile as he boarded his primitive shuttle for the return journey to Earth. Soon, very soon, the laughter would stop. The galaxy would learn that humanity's greatest strength lay in being underestimated. The wheels were in motion. In 3 months, everything would change. The galaxy's laughter would turn to astonishment, then fear, as humanity revealed its true power. Dr. Robert stood in his private lab within Deep Point Alpha, staring at a small cube floating in midair. The cube existed in multiple dimensions at once, appearing to fold in on itself in ways that defied normal physics. After 30 years of research, he had finally done it. "Get General David here immediately." He spoke into his communication device, his voice trembling with excitement. "Tell him we've cracked it." Within an hour, the general arrived, accompanied by Admiral Tom. They found Robert practically dancing around the floating cube, taking measurements with various instruments. "Look at this," Robert pointed to the cube. "We've achieved perfect quantum entanglement across dimensional boundaries. The cube exists in dimensions 1 through 7 simultaneously." Admiral Tom stepped closer, his experienced eyes studying the phenomenon. "Is it stable?" "Completely stable," Robert replied. "And here's the best part. We can control which dimensions it interacts with. Watch this." He pressed a few buttons on his control panel. The cube flickered, seeming to exist in multiple places at once, then settled into what appeared to be a normal 3-dimensional state. "I've limited it to our normal space-time," Robert explained. "Now watch." Another button press, and the cube disappeared completely, only to reappear on the other side of the room instantly. 7-dimensional movement, Robert said proudly. No travel through normal space required. The cube simply existed in higher dimensions and re-emerged where I wanted it. General David's eyes widened. "Can we scale this up?" "The Transcendence construction can begin immediately," Robert confirmed. "We've already modified the designs to incorporate this technology. The ship will have the same capabilities as this cube, but on a massive scale." While Earth's secret project progressed, the galaxy continued its regular business. Ships of various alien civilizations moved through 4D and 5D space, their crews completely unaware of the revolution about to unfold. At a space dock orbiting Mars, construction of the Transcendent proceeded under perfect secrecy. To outside observers, it looked like humans were building another conventional spaceship. The vessel's true nature remained hidden beneath layers of deception. "The outer hull is complete," reported Chief Engineer Paul, showing Admiral Tom around the massive construction. "We've disguised the 7D drive components as standard fusion reactors. Anyone scanning us will see exactly what they expect, a primitive human attempt at space travel." The Admiral nodded approvingly. The ship's exterior looked deliberately unimpressive, with none of the sleek lines or elegant design that marked advanced alien vessels. It was perfect. Inside the ship, however, was another story. The central chamber housed the revolutionary 7D drive, its complex arrays of quantum manipulators hidden behind innocent-looking panels. The bridge contained control systems far beyond anything humanity had publicly revealed. "How long until we can begin tests?" Admiral Tom asked, running his hand along a control panel. 2 weeks, Paul replied. "We're ahead of schedule. The alien observers are so convinced of our incompetence, they'd barely pay attention to our construction activities anymore." In orbit around Earth, those same alien observers maintained their regular surveillance. Their reports to the Galactic Council remained unchanged. Humans continuing work on basic spacecraft. No significant technological advancement observed. Back in Deep Point Alpha, Robert worked on final calibrations for the 7D drive. His team had discovered that their breakthrough had an unexpected advantage. The technology was completely invisible to conventional detection methods. The aliens' advanced sensors simply couldn't perceive the higher dimensional manipulations. Final simulation complete, Robert announced to General David. "The Transcendent will be able to move through all 7 dimensions at will. We can appear anywhere in the universe instantly, bypass any defense, and perform maneuvers that should be physically impossible." The general smiled. How long have the aliens been capable of 4D and 5D travel? About 300 years, Robert replied. And we just jumped straight to 7D, the general mused. Sometimes being underestimated is the greatest advantage of all. As the day ended, Robert took one last look at his floating cube. Soon, this small prototype would lead to humanity's greatest achievement. The aliens' laughter would turn to astonishment when they realized that the primitive humans had secretly mastered dimensional travel beyond their wildest dreams. The Transcendent was almost ready. The galaxy's balance of power was about to shift dramatically, and only Earth knew it was coming. The day of the Transcendent's launch arrived with little fanfare. Earth had deliberately kept the event low-key, inviting only a small group of alien observers who had become regular fixtures at human space launches. They gathered in their observation vessels, ready to document what they assumed would be another unremarkable human achievement. Captain Mike stood on the Transcendent's bridge, performing final system checks. His crew of 50 had been chosen carefully. Each member knew the true nature of their ship and had trained for months in secret facilities on Mars. All systems are green, reported Lieutenant John from his station. The 7D drive is masked and reading as a standard fusion reactor to external scans. Mike nodded, feeling the weight of history on his shoulders. Status of our alien observers. 6 vessels in position, John replied. They're broadcasting the launch live to the Galactic Council, exactly as we planned. In the observation vessels, alien scientists prepared their instruments, some barely hiding their boredom. They had seen dozens of human launches before, each one using the same basic technology they considered obsolete. Another primitive fusion drive, one alien observer commented to his colleague. They haven't even mastered basic 4D principles yet. The countdown began. On the bridge, Mike's crew worked with practiced efficiency, though their movements deliberately appeared somewhat clumsy to outside observers. 10 minutes to launch, the ship's computer announced. Deep within the Transcendent, the 7D drive hummed to life, its true power hidden behind layers of technological camouflage. Dr. Robert, who had insisted on being present for the historic moment, monitored the drive status from a specially designed control room. Drive stability at 100%, he reported to the bridge. All dimensional interfaces are synchronized. The alien observers continued their commentary, unaware of what was about to unfold. Their instruments showed exactly what humans wanted them to see, a relatively primitive spacecraft preparing for a simple orbital launch. 5 minutes to launch. Mike opened a secure channel to Earth Command. All systems ready. Permission to proceed with Operation Revelation. Permission granted, came General David's voice. Show them what humanity can really do. The final minutes ticked away. The alien observers prepared for another disappointing display of human technology. Some had already begun drafting their reports, predicting the exact limitations and flaws they expected to see. Launch in 3, 2, 1. The Transcendent lifted off smoothly, too smoothly for a supposedly primitive fusion drive. A few alien observers noted this discrepancy, but before they could investigate further, something unprecedented happened. The ship began to glow with a light that seemed to bend reality itself. The alien observers' instruments suddenly displayed readings they couldn't comprehend. The Transcendent appeared to exist in multiple places simultaneously, its form flickering between dimensions. What's happening? One alien scientist demanded, frantically adjusting his instruments. These readings are impossible. On the Transcendent's bridge, Mike allowed himself a small smile. Activate full 7D capabilities, he ordered. The ship's outer hull, designed to look unimpressive, began to shift. Panels that had appeared decorative revealed their true purpose, forming complex geometric patterns that channeled higher dimensional energies. By the eternal stars, an alien observer gasped. They've mastered dimensional engineering beyond anything we've seen. The Transcendent rose higher, each movement defying known physics. It didn't just break through Earth's atmosphere. It seemed to step through the very fabric of reality itself. Message from Earth Command, John announced. We're cleared to demonstrate pattern alpha. Mike nodded. Let's show them what we can really do. The Transcendent suddenly vanished, reappearing instantly at various points around Earth's orbit. Each jump demonstrated mastery of dimensional travel that the alien observers had believed impossible for centuries to come. In their observation vessels, the alien scientists watched in stunned silence. Their instruments, designed to monitor up to 5D travel, were useless against the Transcendent's capabilities. Send the signal, Mike commanded. Let the Galactic Council know that humanity is ready to join them as equals, or perhaps more than equals. As the Transcendent demonstrated its revolutionary capabilities, the alien observers rushed to report what they were witnessing. The age of mockery was ending. Humanity had not only caught up to the galaxy's advanced civilizations, they had surpassed them in ways that would change everything. The laughter had stopped. Now came the time for humanity to show its true power. The Galactic Council chamber erupted into chaos as reports of the Transcendent's launch flooded in. The alien representatives watched in disbelief as their monitoring systems failed to track the human vessel's movements through space. Impossible, Supreme Leader Mark shouted, his blue skin turning pale. Their energy readings are off the charts. How are they doing this? On board the Transcendent, Captain Mike prepared for the next phase of their demonstration. Dr. Robert, initiate full dimensional breach. The elderly scientist's hands moved across his control panel with practiced precision. Beginning sequence now. Dimensional barriers opening in 3, 2, 1. The space around the Transcendent began to ripple like water. The ship's hull glowed with patterns that seemed to exist in multiple realities at once. Even the crew felt strange as their vessel pushed beyond the normal boundaries of spacetime. 7-dimensional breach successful, Robert announced proudly. We're now operating outside conventional spacetime. The alien observation vessels scrambled to maintain visual contact. Their most advanced sensors, capable of tracking 5D movement, showed nothing but impossible readings. The Transcendent seemed to exist everywhere and nowhere at once. We've lost them, an alien observer reported frantically. They're moving through dimensional layers we can't even detect. Mike stood calmly on his bridge, watching as reality itself bent around his ship. Through the view screens, he could see layers of existence that no human had ever witnessed before. The universe revealed itself in ways that made traditional space travel seem like crawling through mud. Status report, he commanded. Lieutenant John checked his readings. All systems functioning perfectly, sir. The 7D drive is performing beyond expected parameters. We're actually creating new dimensional pathways as we move. In the Galactic Council chamber, emergency meetings were called as the implications became clear. Humanity hadn't just achieved dimensional travel. They had mastered it in ways the galaxy's oldest civilizations hadn't even theorized possible. Show them pattern beta, Mike ordered. The Transcendent began a series of movements that defied physics itself. It appeared simultaneously at every major alien outpost in the galaxy, then vanished before their defensive systems could even register its presence. They're everywhere. The panic in the alien communications was evident. How can one ship be in thousands of locations at once? Dr. Robert smiled as he monitored the 7D drive's performance. The ship isn't moving through space, Captain. We're moving through dimensions. Distance means nothing when you can step outside the normal flow of spacetime. The alien observers watched helplessly as their instruments melted down, unable to process what they were seeing. The Transcendent's energy signature appeared in distant galaxies, then near their own ships, then in deep space, all within microseconds. Message from Earth Command, John reported. They're receiving the alien reactions. The Galactic Council is in complete disarray. Mike nodded. Time for the final demonstration. Dr. Robert, prepare for full dimensional manipulation, the scientist's eyes gleamed. Ready, Captain. This will show them what 7-dimensional power really means. The Transcendent's hull began to pulse with energy that seemed to bend light itself. Around the ship, reality started to fold and unfold like origami in the hands of a master. Alien vessels that tried to approach found themselves shifted through different dimensional layers, their crews experiencing time at different rates. Some reported seeing multiple versions of the transcendent, each operating in a different dimension simultaneously. Their technology. It's beyond anything we thought possible, an alien scientist transmitted to the Council. They're not just traveling through dimensions. They're manipulating them. In the Council chamber, Supreme Leader Mark watched the recordings with growing horror. The primitive humans had deceived them all. While the galaxy laughed at their apparent struggles with basic space travel, they had developed something that made the most advanced alien technology look primitive in comparison. "Captain," Robert called from his station, "the 7D drive is now operating at full capacity. We can literally rewrite the local laws of physics if we choose." Mike stood at the center of his bridge, watching as his ship demonstrated power that would change the galaxy forever. The time for hiding their true capabilities was over. Humanity had not only joined the dimensional space race, they had won it before anyone knew they were really competing. "Send word to Earth," he commanded. "Tell them Phase 1 is complete. The galaxy now knows what we can do." The laughter had indeed stopped. Now came the silence of awe and fear. 24 hours after the Transcendence demonstration, the galaxy had changed forever. Reports flooded in from every corner of known space about the human vessel's incredible capabilities. The ship wasn't just traveling through higher dimensions. It was reshaping them. Captain Mike stood at his command station, reviewing the data from their latest maneuver. The Transcendent had just completed something no other ship had ever attempted: simultaneous existence in multiple dimensional layers. "Status of the drive systems?" he asked Dr. Robert. "Perfect stability," the scientist replied, his eyes fixed on the complex readings before him. "We're currently operating in dimensions 3 through 7 simultaneously. The ship exists in 5 different states of reality at once." Through the ship's advanced viewing systems, the crew could see the strange beauty of multidimensional space. Reality rippled around them like waves on an infinite ocean, each dimension adding its own layer of complexity to the universe they perceived. "Incoming transmission from the Eldarian fleet," Lieutenant John reported. "They're requesting, no, begging us to explain how we achieved this level of technology." Mike smiled. No response needed. Let them wonder. The Transcendent demonstrated its power again, this time by creating what Robert called a dimensional fold. The ship disappeared from normal space, traveling through a corridor of its own making, where the laws of physics themselves became flexible. "Watch this," Robert said excitedly, making adjustments to the 7D drive. "We can actually move between moments in time by sliding through dimensional layers." The ship shifted, and suddenly they were watching the same space from multiple temporal perspectives simultaneously. To outside observers, the Transcendent appeared to ghost through reality, leaving afterimages that existed in different moments of time. "Alien vessels approaching," John warned. 3 Eldarian science ships attempting to scan us." "Let them try," Mike replied calmly. "Their instruments can't even detect most of what we're doing." The alien ship's scanning beams passed harmlessly through the Transcendent, their sensors recording nothing but impossible readings. The ship's 7D technology operated on principles they couldn't begin to understand. Deep within the ship, the 7D drive continued its quiet revolution against known physics. Each pulse of its power sent ripples through multiple dimensions, creating patterns in reality that no other civilization had ever achieved. "Sir," John called out, "we're receiving reports from Earth. The Galactic Council is in permanent emergency session. Some species are calling for immediate diplomatic relations with Earth, while others are suggesting we be contained before we become too powerful." Mike laughed softly. "Too late for containment. Show them pattern Yama." The Transcendent began its most impressive demonstration yet. The ship split its dimensional presence, existing in 7 different locations across the galaxy simultaneously. Each version was equally real, equally powerful, and completely under their control. Perfect execution, Robert announced proudly. We're maintaining stable existence across all 7-dimensional planes. Each version of the ship is fully operational. Alien observers watched in stunned amazement as their sensors detected multiple transcendents, each operating in different dimensional layers, but all connected through space and time in ways their science couldn't explain. Message from Admiral Tom, John reported. Earth Command is pleased with the demonstration. They say the galaxy's power structure is already shifting in our favor. Mike nodded, watching as reality bent around his ship like light through a prism. The Transcendent wasn't just traveling through space anymore. It was rewriting the rules of what was possible. Dr. Robert, he called, prepare for the final phase of our demonstration. Let's show them what happens when we fully unleash our dimensional control. The elderly scientist's hands moved across his controls with practiced ease. The ship's systems hummed with power as they prepared to demonstrate humanity's greatest achievement yet. Ready, Captain, Robert confirmed. On your command, we can demonstrate full 7-dimensional manipulation. This will show them that we don't just travel through dimensions, we control them. Through the viewing screens, they could see the alien vessels hanging back in fear and awe. The galaxy's most advanced civilizations were about to learn that their mastery of 4D and 5D space was nothing compared to humanity's leap into true dimensional control. The time had come to show the galaxy that humanity's primitive technology had surpassed their greatest achievements. The Transcendent was about to demonstrate powers that would reshape their understanding of reality itself. The Galactic Council's fortress was considered impenetrable, built within a fold of 5D space and protected by the most advanced defensive systems in the known universe. No unauthorized ship had ever breached its defenses in 10,000 years of operation. Until now. The Transcendent materialized directly in the center of the council chamber, bypassing every defense, as if they didn't exist. The massive ship hung impossibly in the space above the gathered representatives, its hull shifting through multiple dimensional states. Supreme Leader Mark stood frozen in shock. How did they penetrate our defenses? Captain Mike's voice echoed through the chamber's communication systems. Your defenses only guard up to the 5th dimension. We simply stepped through the 7th to enter. The alien representatives stared in horror and awe at the human vessel. Some tried to flee, while others remained rooted in place, their eyes fixed on the impossible sight before them. A full demonstration of our capabilities has been requested, Mike continued calmly. We are happy to oblige. The Transcendent began to glow with dimensional energy. Around it, reality itself started to bend and twist. The ship created pockets of space where different physical laws applied, demonstrating its complete mastery over the fabric of existence. Impossible. An alien scientist shouted, his instruments smoking as they tried to analyze what they were seeing. They're not just moving through dimensions, they're rewriting them. Dr. Roberts' voice joined the transmission. What you're seeing is only a fraction of our capabilities. The Transcendent can manipulate dimensional energy in ways your science hasn't even theorized yet. To prove his point, the ship began to exist in multiple states simultaneously. It was solid and ethereal, present and absent, all at once. The aliens' most advanced sensors couldn't begin to comprehend what they were detecting. We've been monitoring your civilizations for centuries, Mike explained. While you laughed at our primitive technology, we were quietly mastering dimensional engineering beyond anything you thought possible. The Transcendent demonstrated its power again, creating a cascade of dimensional folds that made parts of the fortress phase in and out of reality. The council members watched in terror as their impregnable stronghold was manipulated like clay in the hands of a sculptor. Your biggest mistake, Mike continued, was assuming that our public space program represented the limits of our capabilities. We let you believe we were struggling with basic fusion drives, while we perfected technology that makes your greatest achievements look primitive in comparison. Lieutenant John's voice came over the communication system. Sir, we're detecting attempts to activate the fortress's defensive systems. Let them try, Mike replied calmly. Show them what happens when they challenge 7-dimensional technology. The Transcendent pulsed once, and every weapon system in the fortress simply ceased to exist in normal spacetime. They hadn't been destroyed. They had been shifted into a dimensional layer where they could no longer affect the physical world. By the eternal stars, Supreme Leader Mark whispered, "What have we awakened?" Dr. Roberts spoke again, his voice carrying the weight of decades of secret research. "We've awakened nothing. We've simply revealed what humanity has been capable of all along. Your civilizations took 10,000 years to master 5 dimensions. We went straight to 7. The ship began its final demonstration. Reality around the fortress started to fold and unfold like paper, revealing layers of existence that most of the alien species hadn't known existed. The Transcendent moved through these layers effortlessly, showing complete control over the fundamental forces of the universe. This demonstration is concluded," Mike announced. "Earth will be sending diplomatic representatives shortly to discuss our new role in galactic affairs. I suggest you consider your next moves carefully." The Transcendent shifted again, its form becoming increasingly complex as it prepared to depart. The alien representatives watched in stunned silence as the ship existed in all possible states at once, then simply stepped out of their reality. As the human vessel vanished, leaving the council chamber in chaos, Supreme Leader Mark sank into his chair. The galaxy's power structure had just been completely upended. The species they had mocked as primitive had just demonstrated technology that made their greatest achievements look like child's play. The age of alien superiority was over. Humanity had finally revealed its true power, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. 1 month after the Transcendence demonstration at the Galactic Council Fortress, the universe had transformed. The once mighty alien civilizations that had looked down on humanity now scrambled to establish diplomatic relations with Earth. High Commander James sat in his new position at the head of the Galactic Council chamber, a place once reserved for Supreme Leader Mark. The change in seating reflected humanity's new status in the galactic order. The Council recognizes Earth as a leading authority in dimensional engineering, James announced to the gathered representatives. All technology sharing agreements will now flow through Earth's scientific committees. Around him, alien delegates who had once laughed at humanity's primitive efforts now sat in respectful silence. The revelation of the Transcendent's capabilities had shattered their notions of technological superiority. Captain Mike stood at a viewing window aboard his ship, watching as alien vessels maintained a respectful distance. None dared approach too closely, afraid of the power they now knew humans possessed. "Message from Deep Point Alpha," Lieutenant John reported. "Dr. Roberts' team has begun sharing selected aspects of our dimensional technology with approved species." Mike nodded. Earth had decided to release certain discoveries gradually, helping advance galactic civilization while maintaining humanity's technological edge. The 7D drive's full capabilities remained a closely guarded secret. In the weeks following the demonstration, the galaxy's political landscape had shifted dramatically. Former power blocks dissolved as species rushed to align themselves with Earth. The Transcendence demonstration had proven that humanity's hidden capabilities far surpassed anything their civilization had achieved. "Another diplomatic request from the Eldarians," John announced. "They're offering complete access to their scientific archives in exchange for basic training in 6D engineering." "Forwarded to Earth Command," Mike replied. "Let them handle the negotiations." The Transcendent continued its patrols through galactic space, its very presence serving as a reminder of humanity's power. Other ships now moved aside when it approached, their crews watching in awe as it shifted through dimensional layers with casual ease. Back on Earth, military leaders met to discuss the new galactic order. General David addressed the assembled commanders. "Our strategy worked perfectly," he said. "By hiding our true capabilities behind a facade of primitive technology, we developed our dimensional engineering without interference. Now we stand as the galaxy's most advanced civilization." Admiral Tom added, "The alien species are still trying to understand how we achieve this level of technology. Their scientists can't even comprehend the principles behind the 7D drive." In Deep Point Alpha, Dr. Robert worked with his team to develop even more advanced applications of their dimensional technology. The Transcendent had only demonstrated a fraction of what humanity could achieve. The best part, Robert explained to a group of military officials, is that they still don't realize we're only beginning to explore our capabilities. The 7D drive was just the first step. The galaxy settled into its new reality. Species that had once dominated interstellar politics now sought Earth's approval for their decisions. The Galactic Council, once a tool of alien superiority, had become a forum for humanity to guide the development of civilization. Report from the diplomatic corps, John told Mike as they observed a group of alien ships practicing basic 4D maneuvers. 17 more species have signed the Earth Cooperation Treaty. Mike watched the ships through the Transcendent's dimensional viewers. They're learning, he observed. Slowly, but they're learning. The laughter had indeed stopped. In its place had come respect, fear, and a desperate desire to understand how humanity had advanced so far beyond their expectations. High Commander James concluded the council session with words that would have been unthinkable just months before. Earth stands ready to lead the galaxy into a new age of dimensional mastery, he declared. Those who once doubted us now look to us for guidance. We accept this responsibility with humility and determination. As the council members filed out, James caught Supreme Leader Mark's eye. The former leader of the Aldarian Empire nodded respectfully, acknowledging the complete shift in power. The Transcendent continued its patrol, a visible symbol of humanity's triumph. Captain Mike stood on his bridge, watching the galaxy adjust to its new reality. The ship's 7D drive hummed quietly, its power reshaping not just space and time, but the very structure of galactic civilization. Humanity had revealed its true nature, and the galaxy would never be the same. The era of alien mockery was over, replaced by a new age where Earth's primitive species had become the masters of dimensional space.